This is Alan Quah, and I'd like to
Hey.
introduce him. Alan has illustrated both interiors and covers for DC Comics, Dynamite Boom Studios, Titan Comics, Dark Horse, IDW, Valiant, Zenescope, and Image. With an extensive list of projects, Alan has worked for DC Comics' The Vampire Diaries and the legendary comics Godzilla,
Godzilla.
Nike's footwear illustrations for Dark Horse, Shadow Girls, and many, many more. He has also recently produced the concept art for a Marvel and DC statue line for Royal Selangor. And he has worked on recent covers for DC's Dark Multiverse, Batman Nightfall, Nightwings number 67 to 77, Red Sonja, Age of Chaos for Dynamite, Valiance the Visitor, and many more. Alan is represented by Collectibles. So let's welcome Mr. Alan Quah.
Hey.
Yes.
Hello.
Thank you so much for agreeing to visit our students and answer their questions about art and the profession. We have been studying artists. This unit that we're doing right now is modern art, and this class is a creative and critical thinking classroom. There's different topics to study these skills, and this topic that we're doing right now is modern art. So I was really looking for an artist that we could interview. And I'm so glad you said yes. So the students have thought of many, many questions. I don't think we'll get through them all today, but I think that we can learn a lot from you. A couple things I hope we can do today is help people understand more about a career in the visual arts. Help young people understand how they can get into such a career, what they can do to prepare themselves, and finally, dispel some misconceptions people have about the arts and careers in it. So, Alan, I know that you draw superheroes, and every superhero has an origin story, right? So, can you tell us your origin story? Were you interested in drawing as a child?
Hi everyone. I hope everyone is fine. I started drawing at a very young age. I think all the kids tonight, I'm sure all of you can draw as well, because I firmly believe that kids express better in art. So like many of you, I started drawing at a very young age. So instead of pursuing other things as most of you do, when you were younger, you guys used to draw a lot, and then after that, as you grew older, you got to know about books, and you got to know about the internet. You got interested in those things, and then you just stopped drawing. But in my case, I live in an era where there was no internet, and drawing occupied me for most of my days, growing up, and also because of my love of collecting comic books, eventually got me very interested in drawing. So basically, I started drawing at a very young age. I pursued that for almost my my entire life until I decided that when I was 18 years old, I decided that drawing comics back in my days will not be able to feed my family, So I went into the next best thing. I went into advertising. I work in the advertising field for almost 20 years before I decided that I want to give drawing comics another try. So I sort of like left advertising at the age of 38, and I pursued this career in drawing comics. It was very risky to pursue something new at my age then, but I thought I really wanted to give this a go. And fast forward 12 years later, this is where I am. you know. I would like to think that you know, it's very different from back then, you know, where, you know, most of our parents will always think that, what, you want to be an artist? Are you sure you can feed your family, right? So work hard, you can make a career of anything, you know.
Thank you so
So
much.
I would, yeah. So that is my latest story.
Wow, that is really brave. I mean, giving up something that you feel is very traditional. Everyone expects, yeah, you can earn a living with it. Crazy hours though, but you can earn a living with it. And then, going off to do something you love, that takes a lot of courage. That is like a superhero. Wow, what an amazing story. I'm going to ask a poll of the students because Alan has actually shared with me his favorite superhero that he likes to draw. So I'm going to share the poll, and I want you guys to guess which one in this poll um, that he likes to draw. Alan, are they right?
They are right. They are right. Well done.
Alan, why is Batman your favorite to draw?
Why is Batman my favorite to draw?
Yeah.
Uh, I think, you know, in comics, superheroes have many powers, you know. Superman have his strength, Wonder Woman, right, have her strength as well. Flash can run very fast, right? Spider-Man can have a web coming out from his hands, and then he can stick on walls, right? He don't have any special powers apart from he learned to fight the hard way. You know, he learned to fight from a master, and because he is wealthy, he learned to use science and technology to create a suit that can protect him from injury, right? And he have all the cool gadgets, you know, like the cars and the flying machines and the motorbikes, right? So I guess, and most importantly is that I think he is relatable. That it gives us you know, an idea that if we want to, we can actually be like him too, you know, because he's just like any other ordinary, you know, boy or girl, right? So to me, that is a very strong image of a real superhero, you know, not relying on strength or special ability, but yourself, you know, to become a hero.
Yeah,
But
wow. Yeah, yes, I can see that. And I can see why you would be attracted to that. Why a lot of people are actually attracted to this superhero as well. I'm going to share a few of, you mentioned there's a few artists that really inspire you. So I'm going to share a few of them. Alan has told me that um, there are a few other comic artists that he gains inspiration from. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. There we go, and there. Okay, so this is the first one he mentioned to me. So Alan, you said you grew up with this comic artist, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, why did you like this one so much?
Well, I guess mostly because John Byrne is, apart from him being a really good artist, he make the design of the superheroes that was created in the market then very heroic, and they always look good when he's drawing the character. So I idolize him because of the way he draw the superheroes and the way he tell a story in the comic.
So this particular artist did the covers, but he also did the inside drawings as well. Is that right? In the comics?
Yes, John Byrne has amassed a really big amount of work through his career. He is still drawing right now, even though that he has retired. But I think he has he have drawn practically almost every superhero character from Marvel and DC in total.
Wow.
Yeah. Mhm.
Amazing. There are a few more that you mentioned, like Sergio Toppi. I noticed this artist is a lot of ink drawings. What do you like about Sergio?
Um, I I love his technical skills. I love the fact that he is drawing with the same type of material that I'm using. I like to draw with brush, and his work back in the days when I first discovered him is the fact that he is really good with using lines to create values, and he has ingrained in me especially every time when I draw like this, using lines to create values. So he is one of my favorite artists when it comes to this approach.
Cool. Is he a comic book artist?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He has really passed on. He's one of the old masters from back in the days in the 60s.
Okay. Then we have George Zaffino.
Yeah, Jorge Zaffino is also another brilliant artist. Also another brush artist. Um, I think you can see that um, the artists that I like, most of them they use the brush a lot. So this is also one of them.
Yeah. And then Bernie Wrightson.
That's right. Bernie Wrightson is a master of the horror comics. He's very famous for his interpretation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Ah, this one on the
Um,
right. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So this is a very famous book, and he is popular amongst the comic publisher back in the days when there were a lot of horror titles. So he's one of the sought after artists back then.
Alex Nino. I noticed that he does some Disney work, this particular artist.
Oh yeah, I suppose so. I suppose so. But Alex Nino is from the Philippines. He is also popular during the 60s and the 70s. Um, he is he is still actively drawing, but not as much. No, sorry, not Alex Nino. There's another old greats I was thinking of. But yeah, Alex Nino is also one of the great byproducts from the Philippines. Philippines is a country where they produce really a lot of great talents, and Alex Nino is one of the early ones that came out from Philippines.
Okay. And Ruby Nebres.
Rudy Nebres is also from the Philippines. He is still actively drawing right now. Um, at he's probably in his 80s, but he's still drawing.
Wow. So did you know about these artists when you were younger before you began your career?
Well, I knew them when I was very young. I was still collecting comics, people that I idolized
Mhm.
growing up, and I used to draw as a kid, you know. So most of my early before I become a professional artist, I followed line by line, just to understand how they think and how they draw.
That leads me to a really good question. So it's a good thing to copy others' artwork when you are just learning to learn the styles and learn the techniques. Would you recommend that?
For every beginner artist, I think the best way to learn is to mimic your favorite artist,
Mm.
right? You learn how to draw, um, how the artist draws, right? But after that, you with the ambition to, come out of that shell and learn to do it, uh, learn to draw or create a style that is your own.
Right, right. I can see that. And I think if you've been drawing long enough, you do start to develop your own independence and style. Once you feel a bit more confident and your skills are really there, I think the style will come out. So a lot of people wonder, oh, when's my style going to come out? I just feel like I can only copy, but I think that takes time. Don't you think, Ellen?
Yeah, I think the most important, or rather the most common mistake that a lot of artists face is that when they started out, they trace, they follow, but when they don't have all those reference in front of them, they can't draw. Then they get stuck, and then they got frustrated, and then they gave up. So actually, the correct manner is to mirror the way your artists draw, but at the same time, you are conscious enough to learn to draw simple things, like everyday things, like the human anatomy, how to draw hands, how to draw the face, how to draw ordinary stuff like a table, a chair, and all those boring stuff, not just the superhero pose and all those things.
Right, right. That's right.
So once you start drawing ordinary people, then you can exaggerate. Once you know how to draw all those things, you can exaggerate them to make them a superhero.
Those are really good tips, and I think really helpful. I think maybe also don't be afraid. Like, you do copy sometimes, but don't be afraid to just try your own drawings and learning and see how well you can do without copying, so that you start to develop confidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to somebody asked about drawing eyes, and I wanted to ask you, Alan, would you be willing to sketch an eye with the annotation tool? Is this finished?
Yep, it's finished.
Okay, nice. So I hope whoever asked about drawing an eye, you could see. What tips do you have about drawing eyes, Alan?
What tips do I have about drawing an eye?
Yeah.
Well, I guess to make your eye attractive is all about the eyelashes. Right? You have to draw the eye with very thick line on the top and very thick line on the bottom. Then you just draw a circle in the middle and another smaller circle in the middle. That's it. That would be a beautiful eye.
Yeah. So I guess the best thing you can do is practice. Just keep practicing drawing your eyes. Yeah.
Yes. Not just drawing an eye, drawing everything. Because art is really an act of repeating. If you repeat it, the same thing every day, one day you will just become good. It's just as simple as that.
Okay. I'm going to ask another polling question. Just let me find it. Okay, so hang on, wait. Let me find my polling question. Okay, so I'm going to ask everybody to guess. Now, Alan does cover art for comics, and I asked him, how long does it take for him to do a cover art for a comic issue? So I'm going to show you the polls and I want you guys to guess. And then Alan will tell us the answer. Okay, so these are some of Alan's covers. Alan, how long does it normally take you to draw a cover?
Well, if in the ideal world, I would love to draw a cover, one cover in a week.
Mm.
But most of the time, my bosses won't wait that long. I'm only given 3 days. So on average, I spend 3 days to draw a cover.
Wow, this is so much detail in just a few days. How many hours do you spend each day of those 3 days?
Well, it depends. It depends on how complicated is the cover.
Huh?
I'm thankful that some covers are not necessarily as difficult as as some. I have a cover that I drew a rabbit recently.
Yeah, this one.
And Usagi Yojimbo, and that cover took me like 2 days. And today I just announced a cover that is quite heavy in rendering, where I drew like 100 superheroes in one room.
Is this the one on the
So,
left? This one on the
let me
left,
see.
right? Can you
That's
see?
correct. The one on the left, yes.
There's 100 superheroes in here. Wow.
Yeah. They're about give and take. There's about 100 in there. So yeah, comparing these two, both the deadline is the same, 3 days. The one that is on the left, actually, I wanted to do it like a front and back cover, where I can add even more superheroes in there, but I ran out of time, so I had to tell my boss that I can really do a front cover instead. I
Oh,
wanted it to be
wow.
more ambitious. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, some covers are easier, while some are a little bit more complicated. But you still have the same time to deliver.
Wow. And I noticed like this one here on the right is black and white. Do
Mm-hmm.
you start off with a black and white drawing first when you do a cover?
Yes. All my drawings are all drawn in black and white ink, and then they are colored digitally using the computer.
Oh, so like this one here started out
Mm-hmm.
this way and then you use the computer. I was gonna
That's
ask
correct.
you the colors that you were using. I was gonna ask, is it what you were using? So it's a computer.
Yep. We use this program called Photoshop. Photoshop is a program where we use to retouch photos and also to do painting.
All right. So when you're drawing the cover, about how much time does it take you to get the black and white part done first?
The black and white part is between 2 to 3 days, and then coloring another 2 days. Coloring is considered a different deadline.
Which one do you find more challenging?
Well, both have its challenges actually. In drawing line art, you have to design the composition, the layout, of the environment, while coloring is about your understanding of using light and shadow, of using colors in the view chart, the color view, to design something that can pop.
Wow. Alan, did you take any art classes to learn this, or are you self-taught?
I was self-taught until I got into college. But the time when I got into college is not for me to learn art; it's more for me to learn advertising.
Yeah.
But I learned a few tricks in advertising as well. How to use colors, to make an object stands out. So with all those knowledge, I'm applying it onto my comic book as well now.
Ah, Wow. So it's a little bit of the self-taught and a little bit of what you'd learned from some of those classes you took at the university. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's really amazing. Let's see. I got a lot of questions here from the artists. I mean, not the artists, but they probably are, some of them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to like the whole comic book itself, um, do different artists do different parts of the comic book? Like, is there one artist for the cover and another artist for the inside part, or does one artist just do it all?
Yeah, we have a very specific scope of work, especially when it comes to comics for American market.
Hmm.
These are all American comics,
Mhm.
so they have specific what you call scope of work for everyone. Like for my case, I am my core duty is actually to draw covers.
Mhm.
So I will be doing I will be concentrating on the covers, and then if need be, they will have a color artist who can help me with colors.
Mhm.
And then for the inside of the comic, they even have another artist who takes care of the interior pages. And once he have drawn the pencils, he have an assistant called an inker that will help ink the pencils. And then after that, they will have colorists, to paint over all the pages.
Oh, so it's really quite a big team doing one comic book.
Yes, in America, it's considered a very small team. In countries like Hong Kong or Japan,
Mhm.
the main artist will just focus on the storytelling, and then he will have like 6 to a dozen assistants to help him draw various elements in the comic page.
Oh wow, I had no idea.
Mhm.
I always envisioned that it was just this one artist drawing it all. So it is a team of people each having a
It
role
is.
to play in the construction of the comic book.
Yep.
I
Yep.
was wondering, like, how do you know, like, what to put for this, what to arrange, and how to make this drawing for the comic? Do they kind of like just give you a story summary and say, look, this is the story for this comic, create the cover? Is that how it works?
Well, generally, the cover is basically the magnet to attract a reader to buy the
Mm,
book.
yeah.
So you have to have a certain attraction to it, or it has to have that attraction or that ability to fight with the other books that is on the shelf.
Mm.
So, so our job basically is to fight with our other artists, uh, so there is a little competition going on between all my peers, so I know that he's going to do this, right? I'm going to do something different so that I can counter what he's doing, so that both of us will stand out,
Mm.
you know like for example, the cover that I did for that superheroes in the room, the one with a lot
This
of
one.
people in the crowd, the big
Yep.
crowd.
Yep.
So that one I know beforehand that many of the competitors will be drawing this cover differently. They will probably use a lot of close-up scenes, and because of that, I decided to do the direct opposite of what they are doing.
Mm.
I I draw something that is even more dramatic, or rather,
Mm.
something that is smaller than them. With that in mind, right, it will create a big contrast when it put together. So basically, that's how I approach my work, to be different from what others are doing,
Mm.
so
Okay.
that I have an opportunity to make it stand out.
Okay. So yeah, there's competition going on. So I would imagine then that you are constantly paying attention to what's coming out in the comic book market to keep abreast
Mm-hmm.
of what others are doing, and they're probably doing the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. Wow,
Yep.
interesting. Very, very interesting. Have you done any comics for Asia, the Asian market?
Well, when I started out in my career, I was a young artist in Malaysia. I used to draw for comics for Malaysia. Malaysia used to have some humor magazines, which I contributed a few of my stories in there. when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, so I started very young, drawing for Malaysia comics, but I also retired very young and went into advertising when I turned 20.
Oh, that leads me to another question then. How did you manage to get your artwork in there? Like if somebody else is really in this group here is drawing and drawing and drawing and they're just wondering, how do I get my work published? How did you do that?
I guess it is all by sheer luck, I would think.
Oh,
Back in my time, right? We don't have the internet where I can locate the publisher, I can email the publisher, or I can find the publisher on Facebook and talk to him, right? Like what we are doing now.
okay.
Back in my days, if you want to know which is the publisher, to talk to the publisher, you have to look at the address of the comic book, and then you take a bus, and then you take the bus, and then you stop near where the bus stops you, and then you walk to the office of the publisher and try your luck. That's what I did, as a young kid, 15 years old, not knowing the world yet, but I know that I like to draw comics. I went to the publisher's office with a few pieces of my artwork and try to convince them that I can draw comics for them.
And it worked. You got in.
Yeah, it worked. I got lucky.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think luck is also part of it is preparation. Really spending the time to practice, get a portfolio of your work together. I mean, you said you brought a few pieces. What advice would you give those who are learning right now if they're making a portfolio? What should they put in that portfolio to bring to publishers?
Mm. Well, don't just draw cool superheroes. It is important to know how to draw cool superheroes, but at the same time, it is also important to know how to draw ordinary stuff. I can't stress enough how important is, learning to draw things around you, right? Normal human beings, normal people, sitting down, standing, animal, right? Cars, buildings, and all those things. Those are really important things that the publisher will want to look at. Your ability to draw everything.
Would you recommend using a lot of different materials, not just ink?
Yeah, I think the beauty about art is art is an expression. So there's nothing that should dictate you on what you should use to draw, right? Because some artists just love to use brush. Like me, I like to use a brush, and I like to use the pencil. Some may like to use watercolor because the soft color, is something that they really like, right? So, and it is an expression, so don't limit yourself to just one medium. You can try with pencils, you can try with color pencils, you can try with ink, you can try with watercolor, acrylic, all these things, and find yourself, because one of these medium will definitely represent you one day.
Okay, so explore, definitely explore different types of materials. And I noticed you used the word medium, so I just want to let our students know when artists are talking about that word medium, using a medium, they mean what materials they're using to create their art. So that material might be marker, or it might be watercolor paints, or it might just be ink and pencil, or it might be clay if you're a sculptor. So these are the materials an artist use to create their work. That's what they mean by medium, and that's what Alan is saying. He's saying explore. You don't have to just say I only do ink. Try other mediums. Try other materials. You might find that you might like other materials, or you might find that you really have a knack for other materials, and you won't know unless you try them. So that really leads me to materials, and I managed to capture these pictures from, your pictures. And I noticed that these are some of the materials you use. Like you mentioned a brush. So I kind of see it here with this lady, and there's another one here on the side next to, is it Robin? Yeah. So it looks like a Chinese brush, is it?
Yes. Well, actually it's a Japanese brush.
Okay, Japanese.
It's a Japanese brush. I use a lot of Japanese brush. Some of them are refillable. The one on the far right is a refillable brush
Mhm.
where I don't need to dip into an ink. The ink is a cartridge where it can be replaced.
Mhm.
So that is a synthetic brush. That means it's a fake brush. It's made of probably some plastic material.
Mhm.
Whereas the one in the middle is an authentic brush, a Japanese brush that I use a lot.
Okay. Well, I really didn't know that there were Japanese brushes. I always hear about the Chinese ink brushes. What is the difference between a Chinese calligraphy brush and a Japanese ink brush?
I think there isn't much difference really, because both of them functions practically the same. But I guess the only difference is that the technology, the way they bind the brush together.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, I think in terms of functionality, both of them are the same.
Okay. Yep.
Mhm.
So, and yep, I see your bottle of ink here.
Yeah, I
Empty.
just finished it.
Wow. So definitely, and you seem to prefer Winsor and Newton for ink, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And then I saw this picture here. What are some of the tools here we see on the table next to you that you're using there?
Well, those are basically my signing pens.
Okay.
I have pens that comes in red color, bronze, or white, so that I can sign on books that the fans want me to sign on.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly when I'm out there drawing quick sketches, I'll be bringing my portable brushes, the one that I don't need to dip with water and stuff. So
Okay.
it's not messy for me.
Is that I noticed there's some paintbrushes up here in this picture, even a
Mhm.
toothbrush. What's a toothbrush for? I'm very curious.
Yeah, the toothbrush is an effect that I use to create splatter, to create a splatter effect.
Mm.
Let me try to show you an artwork that I have a splatter effect on.
Yeah, yeah.
So can
Yes,
you see the white splatter?
I
Yeah,
can. Yes, I can see that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yep, I can see that for sure. And then,
So
yeah, sure, go ahead.
this is done using a toothbrush.
How about these other little brushes here? They remind me of my watercolor brushes that I have at home.
Let me see which one is that.
On the right-hand side, there's these three, looks like
Oh yeah,
three.
these are just some of the various brushes that I use to create those extra textures that I want for the backgrounds. Sometimes you have really large backgrounds that you want to add some textures on, but the Japanese brush will not be able to create that kind of illusion for you. So these are all these brushes have its own characteristics, and the only way that you can understand them is to really pick one up, and then use it to explore, to see what kind of effect that you can create with it. You'll be surprised, that every brush that you use, right? You realize that they can create different effects.
Right, right. Um, yep. So I looked as well online, and these were some of the ones that artists recommended. Like this is a brush pen on the right side, and
Mm-hmm.
these are some of the felt tip pens. Do you use anything like this?
The Pentel pocket brush is the one that is similarly to the one that I use.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is of a finer brush tip. And on the one at the bottom, 1C Pentel Fude brush.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that is also the one that I use, but I use the more thicker brush because I think I am more experienced. To me, using a thicker brush, I can still draw fine lines. I don't need to use a fine brush to draw fine lines. It's, I guess over the years, I've learned to control the brush better.
Okay, okay. Yep, so I noticed these brushes, but I've already asked you about them. Here are some markers down here. Do you use markers at all? Because you mentioned as digital coloring.
Yes, I do. Let me show you a piece that I've drawn using markers.
Okay.
This one is drawn entirely with marker.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is it
Yeah.
a brush marker or like the harder tipped marker?
Well, the harder tip marker comes in two tips. One side is hard, and then one side is like a brush tip.
Okay.
So I'm using the one that has a brush tip, which looks something like this.
Okay. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's Copic. Yeah, just like this one here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you ever use watercolors?
Yes, I do. Watercolor is also one of my favorite medium. I use them.
Why do you love watercolors?
Well, I guess mainly because it is translucent, and if you make a mistake, it's very easy for you to create another layer over it, you know. And also the amazing thing about it is that the more layers you create over, it have different characters. So it is quite exciting, and also that the fact that you can also make it run on water, make the paper all wet, the water can run all over the place. It can create a really nice smooth illusion.
I love watercolors too. It's my favorite medium as well. You mentioned about mistakes, and this is a question I forgot to ask earlier when we were talking about, you're creating your covers. What do you do when you make a mistake? How do you handle mistakes in your drawings? A lot of people just want to just throw the whole thing away. What do you do?
Yeah, well, I think there is always a tendency to take the paper, tear into half, and then throw it into the bin, when you're doing an artwork. But trust me, that is where your middle stage is when you're doing art, because the middle stage is where all the colors are all not in sync yet. Everything is a big mess. But if you persevere and you continue moving forward, the end result will be something spectacular, trust me. Because every day I deal with this, I have an idea, I put it on paper, the initial line looks great, but halfway through I realize I'm making a big mistake. But if I go ahead, I take comfort with the experience that if I continue spending another 4 hours on this, the end result will be what I would expect it.
So don't give up. And also, I've noticed this about painting watercolors is that you get an ugly duckling stage of your drawing where it's just disjointed. It doesn't look good. It's just because you haven't put enough layers on or haven't finished yet. So it may look not quite right, but as Alan said, keep going. Don't stop. Yeah. Have you ever had like a mistake and you're just like, okay, I've got to draw something around it, over it? Does that happen? This one I can't cover by a layer.
Well, if you make a mistake when you're doing the painting, that means you did not plan properly. So I think the whole trick is to plan properly before you even attempt to color it, right? Because your base drawing is actually your most important aspect, of that masterpiece that you are doing. So whatever that you're doing, your baseline have to be perfect before you even attempt, to even color it. I think most problems started is because we are all too eager to get started because we have this vision in our head, how amazing it will look, right? So you want to jump right in, and you didn't spend enough time on the baseline. So and when you start doing it halfway, then you realize, oh, I should have put this in the middle. I should do this, differently. That's where you start doubting yourself.
Oh.
So yeah, try to spend a bit more time at the planning stage. If you have that plan well, then your painting will be perfect.
So when you mean planning, you mean pre-sketches in sketchbook, maybe?
So before I start a real drawing, right, I will have something like this. It is a really rough drawing. It's not a perfect drawing, right? Everything is very rough. I just want to get an idea of the design, right? So I will do this as my draft, and then I will transfer this onto my drawing board. And after the 8 hours of drawing, it will become something like this.
Oh yeah, that's more detailed, finer lines. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about the initial planning. Right. Once you have the initial planning, then you have an idea. You already designed the idea, and the rest is all about adding more values to your drawing.
Okay. Wow. That doesn't look easy at all. Okay, I've got another poll question that I want to ask. I felt this was a very interesting thing that you told me. You told me about your first sale of your art. So I want to do a poll about it. Okay, I'm going to just go and find that one. Okay. I asked Alan how old he was when he sold his first piece of art. So I want you guys to guess. Okay, here are the options: 20 years old, 9 years old, 12 years old, or 18. What do you guys think? Can you vote? How old do you think he was when he sold that first piece? It looks like it's a tie. People thought 12 or 18 years. Alan, how old were you?
I think the correct answer would be I was in standard 3. That would make me 9 years old.
Yeah, 9. So, wow. Yeah. So, you may think I'm just a kid. I can't sell anything. No way. You guys can already start selling your artwork. You don't have to wait to be out of college. You can start right away. Tell us about that. How did you sell that? What's the story behind this artwork? And what was it?
I came from a poor family. I don't really have a budget to buy extra stuff. Apart from my little budget to go to school for the food in the canteen. But I don't have those extra budget where I can buy my comics. So the only way I can make those money is to sell my art. So that's what I do. I used to draw commissions.
Oh,
commissions
wow.
for my friends in school, and with the cumulative amount I get to buy my comics.
So how much did you make on this first sale?
My first sale, I think probably like 50 cents. Back then is a big deal, right?
Wow. Would it be rude if I asked you how much you make now on a piece of cover artwork?
How much do I make? Well, if I tell you that I make 50 cents last time, now probably times maybe times a few thousand times.
Yes, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So you definitely are able to make a living with your cover art. My question is, how did you get that breakthrough for that first cover? How did you break in?
Well, it took quite a while actually. 12 years ago when I decided that I wanted to pursue drawing comics again after 20 years in advertising, it was really scary, but I'm comforted by the fact that I have some savings. And I use that savings as sort of like as a threshold for me to try this. If I fail, I have to go back to advertising.
Wow.
You know, so I sort of like gave myself 3 years, you know, to give this a try. If I don't make it, that means I have to, you know, forget about this dream, you know. So in a way, I think I got lucky. It took me about 2 years to get published.
Okay.
But I don't make a lot of money, you know. Just like every other career that we will all pursue in one day, right? Your first job will not give you a lot of money, but if you keep at it, right, then you will just you know, go up the ladder, right?
Right,
So
right.
exactly the same like comics, you know. I used to earn very little, you know, but because I just kept going, I just kept getting a raise every year, you know. So times 12 years, it's okay.
Awesome, awesome. That's really great. What do you like most about your job?
What I like most about the job, this job is well, every day is a brand new day, you know, because once I've done with this cover, right, my next cover is something totally different again. You know, I get to explore what is the universe about this cover, what is the character is like. I get to explore that, and I get to, you know, given the platform to express my version of that character. You know, so that is the exciting thing about drawing comics, I guess. You know, especially me drawing covers. Every day I draw different covers. That means every day I draw a different superhero.
Awesome. So that's that freedom to explore and redefine things. What do you find most challenging about your career?
Um, Again, drawing different character because you know, you will be tasked to draw things that is really out of your comfort zone sometimes, you know, and you got to teach yourself to draw those things, you know. So every project, you will have to teach yourself, you know, to learn what is this character all about, how to draw him or her, and then apply that into a nice cover design.
So would you say that even when you don't have a cover assignment, you're still drawing and exploring?
Yeah, I am practically drawing non-stop. In fact, if I'm not drawing covers, I'll be doing stuff for myself. And if I'm not doing stuff for myself, I will be drawing commissions for customers.
Okay.
So apart from me drawing covers, I also have customers who would ask me um, to draw their favorite superhero for a fee. So that is also part of my job as a comic artist.
Okay. So you guys, you can buy art from Alan. He does sell his art. So, Alan, you should give me your website or your contact, and I'll definitely pass it on to the students here who may want to buy some of it. Um, actually, just listening to you, we were just learning about Picasso the other day, and we learned that he had made 50,000 pieces of artwork in his lifetime, which amounts to about two every single day. So it seems like you're headed in that direction. You're going to have 50,000 pieces of artwork.
If I live up to 100 years old.
Yeah, he was 90 something when he passed on. But I think it
Yeah.
also shows that you have to keep on drawing, and you're always improving, you're always drawing. I mean, you're drawing like crazy. It's not when I have free time or these kind of things. It's constantly making art. That's what it sounds like you're doing. That's what it sounds like Picasso was doing, and that's how you get really good. That's how you guys see what you see here is hours and hours and thousands of hours of probably tens of thousands of hours of work here. So you may think maybe that, oh, I can't draw very well, but if you keep on practicing, you keep on learning, you'll get there. Is there any last
Yes.
thing you want to say, Alan? Because our time is really up, but is there anything you want to share with the students or say with the students as your parting words?
Yes, I think the most important thing that I would like to give to you kids is that art is an act of repeating. So if you feel that you are not good, it does not necessarily means that you are bad tomorrow. But if you just keep repeating what you're doing, one day it will just dawn upon you that you are good. And then one more year down the road, you think that you are better. So you will keep improving, trust me. Because as long as you repeat, you will be good one day.
Oh, those are good words and they're very encouraging. We all start somewhere. So keep on drawing if that's what you're interested in and don't give up. Go to those publishers, go to the websites or the Facebook pages, as he said, show them your artwork, keep going. Don't let no stop you. Keep going. How many no's did you get at first?
Many, 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 many no's.
Thick skin. Have to have thick skin. Keep going, right? Yeah, so see, you get a lot of no's, but don't let that stop you. Keep on going. Thank you so much, Alan, for giving us a bit of your time. I've learned so much. I think the kids have learned a lot, and we've also been encouraged by your words and your art. Thank you for
It's my
giving us your
pleasure.
time.
It's my
So,
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
yes, thank you. So, we're going to end our session here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening with Alan Quah, who is DC comic illustrator and cover artist.